I come there. Good news. You. Don't you have a forum? Oh, I actually did them. Can you sign it? There's going to be a nice
Now call to order. Royal 11 review session. Madam President, we have roll call.
President White.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Sampson.
Present.
Gani.
Present.
Dr. Pickett.
Present.
Ms. Rhynard.
Shows excused absent.
Mr. Lacey.
Here.
6 present.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, liberty and justice.
First on our agenda tonight, we have hearing from the public.
All right. Public is invited to speak. As always, complete a request form that you would have done by now. And call upon, please identify yourself, state your name and address, and school district, and then electronic submissions will only be used during remote meetings, which we are not in. Address the board as a whole to the president and not individual board members. Materials that you may have for distribution may be handed to the treasurer. Limit remarks to 3 minutes, and the president has discretion to extend any time. When your time is up, you are to stop speaking. Is it inappropriate to address any matter involving pending disputes, grievances under a labor agreement, disciplinary action involving an employee or student, ongoing labor negotiations, concerns or matters that have already been settled, and/or any matter which, because of its nature, is deemed appropriate to be discussed in executive session. Madam Treasurer, do we have any people registered to speak this evening?
Yes. Jamaica Hood. Jamaica Hood.
I don't think she's here. You have any other names?
Johnny Watson.
And just before you go, Ms. Watson, just let you know, I'll be keeping the time and I'll give you a little nod or something again.
I am Captain.
All right.
Good evening, Board President Dr. Goodwine, Vice President Smith, board members, Dr. Burton, Treasurer Braha, and DPS family. It is no secret that I'm a proud alumni of DPS as well as my husband. When it came time to look for a job after college, there was no question of where I wanted to teach. I wanted to come home to DPS. DPS used to be a family. Many alumni came back here to work and we spent our entire career with Dayton Public Schools. We felt valued and respected. Frankly, I'm concerned, and I have been for quite a while, about the state of Dayton Public Schools. We have started the last few school years without full staffing, or when the staff is hired, they're given little support, and some leave within the first few weeks of school. I've heard board members repeatedly ask about what is being done to support staff, but have not yet heard a concrete plan beyond, oh yeah, we stop in and see them. I'm horrified and saddened to see how many resignations are on board docs all year long. Some teachers have even left after July 10th, risking their teaching license. I have volunteered numerous times to help new art teachers, but have never really been taken up on it. As recently as the middle of this school year, a new art teacher called me and begged me to come and help her because she was struggling. I told her that I couldn't come in unless she talked to her principal, and her principal got the okay from Superintendent Lolli, but she told me that her principal never responded. She was left alone when she was struggling. I've seen teacher after teacher and many experienced teachers take pay cuts to leave this district. But this isn't new news. You all know this. The time is now to do the right thing and turn this district around. The community has been asking, they've been begging for that for quite some time. I've been in meetings and sat on panels where members of the community have said to me, Joni, we aren't allowed to go into schools. Joni, we wanted to go into schools and do bipartisan kids voting, but we were told that we couldn't go into the schools. I've known Dr. David Lawrence for a long time. He's a native Daytonian and a product of DPS. He knows and cares for the community, and they know him. I have closely watched, but not in a stalkerish way, Dr. Lawrence since he was a chief, and have watched him in the great growth that he has done, both in knowledge and relationship building. Believe it or not, I still get calls, even after being retired for 2 years, from teachers that are excited to tell me that Dr. Lawrence stopped in the classroom and followed it up with a nice email or note on their desks, something they seldom receive. Dr. Lawrence has gone to the bus barn, rode buses, he has walked buildings, looking at the state of them before school starts, and some even told me that he started out during inclement weather with operations at 4 a.m. to make sure that our grounds are safe for staff. He is active in our community. Am I done?
You can finish that part.
Okay, thanks. He went to school, coached, and was an assistant principal, I'm rushing, a chief, and now a business manager. I venture to say that very few of our superintendents, and we've had some good ones, know DPS and the community as well as Dr. Lawrence. The time is now right to do the right thing. I'm urging this board to please appoint Dr. Lawrence so that we can get back to the powerhouse we once were. Thank you so much.
Any other registered to speak?
Yes. David Ezrati.
David Ezrati, 113 Bonner Street, obviously Dayton Public Schools. I'd like to thank Dr. Lolli for one thing, bringing music programs back to Dayton Public Schools. Actually, I'm wrong. There's a second thing. I'd like to thank her for breaking her contract and leaving. She showed her real character when she signed that contract and then resigned. There's only one problem. When good leaders die on the battlefield, or in this case, on the school board field, they always have a person ready and prepared to step into their place smoothly. Unfortunately, this board has different opinions about leadership, which got us into this mess in the first place. Let me be clear. National searches don't serve local problems. There isn't a sane outsider who would come to take over the helm of this sinking ship and right it starting in the next 60 days. Not with the massive loss of institutional knowledge and experience that we suffered through the last two superintendent debacles. And here's the other problem. We don't have a school board. We have 2 or 3 teams on this board. And all of them think they know something about running a school district. In fact, the problem in Ohio is that they'll let anyone on the school board, some of them virtually unopposed. We are just a month away from starting the next school year without a superintendent. Technically, that means y'all don't have anyone to order around and run this mess. Now, the smart thing to do would be to put your differences aside and immediately hire the person the district should have hired before the Ron McCord debacle. He's an Army veteran. He's got a superintendent's license, a business manager's license, a PhD in education, 20+ years experience in this district. By the way, when he was principal of Trotwood for just 3 years, test scores went up 20 points. He's a DPS graduate. He still holds athletic records from 30 years ago and could still outrun 6 of the 7. Joe, you might be their only hope. And did I mention he's already on your payroll and can start immediately? If you can't vote to hire Dr. Lawrence tonight, do us all a favor. Resign. We don't have time for you to fiddle some more while our district burns. And by the way, when those state test scores come out, just remember, even being superintendent of the year doesn't actually come with any accountability, just like your jobs. Also, don't use the word interim either. Hire them on a 1-year contract at the exact same rate you were hiring a quitter, or you look like racists. And negotiate performance bonuses for attendance, test scores, employee retention, reduction in disciplinary processes, reduction in legal fees, and improved graduation rates. I've known David Lawrence for over 25 years. He's an example of the best of what can graduate from Dayton Public Schools. I have no doubt he can do this job blindfolded and outperform your last 2 train wrecks. And a reminder, he's also one of the remaining 2 people who still want to work for this board as functional as you've been. The other one, she's Lakota's problem now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Esrati. Madam Treasurer.
Kenny Gifford,
Can you repeat that again, Madam Treasurer?
Courtney Gifford,
She may not be in here.
Ashley Smith,
I think I see her somewhere.
Good evening. I'm Ashley Smith at 112 Red Avenue. I'm here because I'm speaking on behalf of the cheer coaches and also the all minor sport coaches. It has been brought up several times with this board about our retro pay. And at this point, I feel like you guys are just blowing it off. It's either a simple yes or no. The work we have put in, the work that we were asked to do from several board members, I have seen my fellow coaches go out and do what we were asked to do. It's just a simple yes or no. I feel like we're entitled to that, what we're owed. The cheer pay has been $2,400 over the last 20 years. That's ridiculous. If it was any other department, I'm pretty sure the treasurer would make sure that they would get their retro. If I'm not mistaken, I just looked at the board docs today, and a head football coach, his pay has changed. So he's receiving his pay. But when it comes to your cheer coaches, you just ignore us. On August 16th, there is a grand opening for Welcome Stadium. You're asking for all 6 squads to be here. Not even just that, they're asking for me to bring my PB cheerleaders, which are also being close to cheerleaders. So we're asking for the cheer coaches to do things, and we're the least engaged. Even your DEA, he stood in the lobby back in March and told me and several of the coaches it was a slap in the face what y'all are offering us. He tried to offer more. So I understand it now, he's trying to fight that. I'm just asking how to work with this. Can we get some clarification on our day? Because if it was anybody else in this district, I'm pretty sure they did it. Thank you.
Ms. Smith. Thank you, Ms. Smith. Madam Treasurer.
That concludes public speaking.
Okay, before we move on, can you name the two names that were not here, just in case they came in, Madam Treasurer?
Jamaica Hood and Kathleen Jeter.
I do not see them. Thank you, Madam Treasurer. This concludes public speaking.
Dr. Burton, your first recommendation.
I have the following items for the board approval. Human resource, item A.
I move that we adopt the recommendation. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any questions? Go ahead, Board Member Sampson. Oh, I moved it.
No, Dr. Goodwin, please.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to pull for a separate vote, item number 42. I think for the last month or so, I've asked for an organizational chart structure for OEC. I've yet to receive it, but this name keeps appearing, so I'm assuming that we just want to move on with it. So I would like to pull item 42 for a separate vote, if we're still going to vote, because I don't want to keep pulling it off every meeting that we have.
You want to pull it for a vote after this vote, or do you want to do it after executive session?
Pull it after this vote.
Is there any other questions? Seeing none, then we have a vote with the exception of number 42.
President Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Sampson,
Yes.
Ms. Wiegany,
Yes.
Dr. Pickett, Mr. Lacy.
Yes.
6 yeses.
Thank you. Dr. Pickett, can you please turn your mic on?
It's on.
You can try to run this. It's hard to hear you.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Now may we have a vote on number 42?
I'm sorry, were you asking for me to repeat my vote?
No, I was second turn. I'm for the vote on the woman. Board Member Sampson, pull up. Actually, Board Member Sampson, if I could ask, I have a question on this one. Can we vote on this one after exec session, please? Because I have a question for our HR director on that one. Is
Yes.
that okay with everyone?
That's fine.
Okay. All right. Your next recommendation?
My next recommendation is a resolution for approval for immediate pay for 2 employees.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Are there any questions? Seeing none, may we have a vote?
President Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Sampson,
Yes.
Ms. Wiegany,
Yes.
Dr. Pickett,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy.
Yes.
6 yeses.
Your next recommendation?
My next recommendation is a review of the contracts and agreements as listed.
Are there any questions? Give you a second to look at it. Go ahead, Board Member Lacy.
Line play them. Is that the math or language?
Math and language arts, mind play.
My play is
Go ahead, Board Member Sims.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a quick question. I know that these recommendations have come, I guess I'm asking, who made these recommendations? Because our superintendent has resigned. Did these recommendations come from Dr. Lolli, or are they coming from the chief's curriculum? How did these recommendations come before us today?
So the recommendations, the superintendent's last day is the 18th, and they come from departments like they have always come. Some from the curriculum department, various departments. So yes.
Thank you so much. Madam President, may I ask another question?
Go ahead.
So with that being said, so Mind Play, this $726,000 investment is year one of a 3-year contract. First question I have is, should we be entering into another 3-year contract under the auspices of an outgoing superintendent? And the second question I have, is there any data that can be presented about the effectiveness of the first term contract that we have in Mind Play that warrants us renewing another 3-year contract?
I'll ask Chief Murdoch to come and share what we have available for you as it relates to Mind Play.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. I don't have a data slide prepared, but we do have data from buildings who have implemented with Fidelity that they have made more progress on both MAP and their OST scores as a result of using Mind Play, as well as progress in the platform itself.
Madam President, okay.
Keep it rolling.
Thank you. So with that said, Chief Murdoch, when you say, what concerns me is when you say buildings that have done it with Fidelity. So why would we invest $726,000 for 3 years, another 3-year contract, until, because it was presented that this has come from department heads, but it seems like there are some teachers, administrators that may not be using this. Why are we trying to renew something that is not being done with Fidelity across the district?
I do believe in the platform itself, and with the new dyslexia legislation, this platform will definitely address the deficits that we're able to identify with the additional screening, because it is Gillingham based. We do know our teachers need more training that is provided. Well, it's free with the purchase, but it's a big purchase. And so we have committed to getting more training for our teachers and for our principals to make sure that the program is used correctly, especially with the new data we'll have from our initial screenings.
Thank you, Madam President.
Before you leave, let's have one question. Is there any alternative to Mind Play right now?
There is not a product like this that is more Gillingham based and computer based at this time.
Okay. Board Member. Vice President.
Thank you. Chief, when we talk about the program and the buildings that have used it with Fidelity and using it in a way that has behooved them to you guys' points, what has been done or planned to do to even have some of those cross trainings? Or I know they can do some training. Have we talked about even the buildings that are doing this well, having them work with some of our buildings, having some of the teacher leads work with some of the other folks that are doing that? What are some of the things that we can do? Because if we're seeing that through the time that we've had Mind Play, that all the buildings aren't using it the same way, teachers are doing it sometimes, not doing it, maybe doing it too much, X, Y, Z. What are we doing to help them? Because if we were to get a new contract, even with the new training, what does that put in place to make someone do it? Which you can't, I don't want us to just get into another contract and then say, okay, this works if you use it right. Because that doesn't help us because we're still spending money. So what are some of the other things that you guys have thought of or that utilizes our staff and having peer training and things like that, that doesn't come from North Gilead, but comes from Dayton teachers to say, hey, this works in my classroom. Maybe this is the time of day we do it. Maybe we break our kids up. Like, what is the plan to do those kind of things if we're looking at trying to make such a big purchase?
We have incorporated our teacher leaders. They are trained in Marketplace and they're very familiar with the platform. But to your larger question, we have begun this year to do some train-the-trainer models with teachers in addition to teacher leaders so that they can go in and work with their peers. We started that with our ELA adoptions. We have those in process now, and we did do the same model for mine.
Board Member Sampson.
Thank you, Madam President. Another question I have is, I don't think it's for Chief Rhynard. Victoria Moore, what training does she provide for the National School Lunch Program at the expense of $50,000? If somebody could just help me, what that looks like for a year, consulting services for the National School Lunch Program.
Board Member Sampson, she at least 30 years of experience, worked in the district for a long time, and she's coming back to train our leadership team in nutrition services. We have several young leaders there, and it's part of a plan that we have in operation. So we have custodial training here right now this week, nutrition services training, just taking professional development from the academic side and bringing it into operations and transportation as well.
Thank you, Dr. Lawrence. Thank you, Madam President.
Are there any other questions? All right, seeing none, next recommendation.
My next recommendation is consultant contracts.
Are there any questions regarding consultant contracts? Board Member Sampson.
Thank you, Madam President. Can someone help me with James Knight Consulting Group that says consultant services for professional development at Chaminade Julienne? Can somebody help me with that?
So it's, Sheila and Julianne has the right to use their title money to hire someone to provide professional development. We're responsible for paying that, but that's up to them to decide what professional development they will have and who they will hire.
And so they requested James Knight Consulting.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you, Madam President.
Any other questions? All right, next recommendation.
My last recommendation is a resolution for cloud service extension.
Are there any questions? Does that conclude your recommendation?
Yes, that concludes my recommendations. Thank you.
Madam Treasurer, your recommendations?
My recommendations are to increase the appropriations because we got some with carryover for our grant funds. All these funds starting from 507 up to 599, we have carryover and we wanted to increase our appropriations by the amount. The carryover amount is 4.6 million, and we increasing our budget by that much. Another one is in Fund 13, we are increasing by $125,000. Those are the increases we are shown since last time.
Okay, any questions? All right, seeing none, your next recommendation.
This one is certificate of estimated resources. When we are increasing by the total amount increased for the appropriations for our resources for the grant funds.
All right, are there any questions? Your next recommendation?
The next one is temporary advances. We are advancing from general fund to Fund 013 for $125,000 to set up spirit shop.
Are there any questions? All right, your next recommendation?
The next one is monthly financials for June. The finance committee meets on Thursday, and it will be approved by them, and for the full board approval, it will come next week. So this is a placeholder.
Okay, your next recommendation?
Next one is minutes, the minutes for June 13th. Oh, I have a typo. June 20th and June 30th. I don't think you have a question on that one.
Okay, next recommendation?
I have several purchase requisitions from different departments, and we can look together, and if you have any questions, we'll answer.
Give you guys a second to look. Are there any questions? So I'll give you a second.
Trying to think who this may be for. The BSN Sports for the sound system. Can you explain the difference between this and the one the contract for the intercom systems? What would be the difference between these two? That be Dr. Lawrence?
Yeah, so I talked to Tony Martin, he said they can't put it all on the same invoice. You know, so we had two different crews that are doing the work. One is built to serve, I mean, like it's a model that's built per school, and the other one is universal engineering.
Okay. Well, with the different crews, does that change the expected completion?
Yes, it does.
On the Heartland payment system, we're still sticking with this vendor. I was under the impression that we're making changes to it.
That's not an operation. Probably.
Dr. Barber,
Yeah.
who's that? Purchase that is for Heartland payment system.
I do not want to find out what is.
And Madam Treasurer, just so I'm correct, are we still scheduled to be switching to another vendor? Yes, it goes. I was saying, on the Heartland payment system, are we still scheduled to be switching vendors?
I will check, I don't know.
All right, are there any other questions? Give you another second, because it's like 6 pages. Board Member, Vice President Smith?
Yes, Dr. Lawrence, for the W.R. Hackett PR, for the fresh fruits and vegetables, can you give me some more information on that? And also I want to ask, were there any other bids for this service, or did you just directly deal with them?
When we spit out the email it to Kathy first on communication, she tells me all the information.
I'll be looking forward to the email.
No problem.
One more for you, Lawrence.
As long as.
One more. Roby Supply. I see them on here twice, and they are exceeding our threshold for most contracts, but what we did.
There are rollovers from last year because we don't have our entire budget for this year. We asked for that up front, since we couldn't get it. We're gonna have to do this every month. It's the same thing we were doing last year. Since we have a partial budget instead of a full budget, this is, if we had to build it, we couldn't get the materials each month.
So this is $420,000. No, it's not the $7,000. So this was not what we did.
No.
So that's against our policy. On that, is that a single source or sole source?
It's one of two sources that we have that has the materials and supplies that we have.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Board Member Sims.
Thank you, Madam President. Celico partnership, can someone tell me about 100 staff hotspots, 500 student hotspots, how will these be used, and when will they be used?
Mrs. Sampson, I'll get that information for you from the IT department.
Thank you so much, Madam President. One more question.
Go ahead.
Learning A to Z, I see that this is a renewal purchase. Is there any data that we have available that shows why we're wanting to renew this purchase as relates for the licenses for 12 months?
Yes. So Learning A to Z is part of our reading program. It is a renewal, that is correct. Sorry, I did for my notes, so I'm sure I'm accurate here. So this is a supplemental program that we use in our elementary schools. It gives specific lessons for teachers to use so that they can be more accurately assigning students work at their reading level. So if a teacher is teaching a skill like main idea, she can determine whether the student doesn't understand the skill versus whether the reading level was too high. So it's a tool that's used to distinguish those things. So data-wise, we would be looking at MAP scores and OST scores.
If I may, Madam President. So excuse my ignorance, she brought out. What is the benefit of having Learning A to Z and Mind Plan? Because it sounds like they're kind of similar. So what's the benefit of having Learning A to Z and Mind Plan?
So my play is more based in reading, instruction per se, following those 5 pillars. So if a student is deficit in phonics or phonemic awareness, that's where they're going to start. Learning A to Z would go more to the skills that come along with reading. So inferencing, identifying main idea, once a student has begun to master the reading process itself. So my play is more of a gap filler for the reading itself, and Learning A to Z is for those skills that go along with reading.
So, excuse me again, so we're spending more money on a gap filler than the services for, that helps enhance the skill.
Are you referring to my play as the gap filler?
Yes.
Yes, but they do function differently
Okay.
as far as reading instruction goes.
What's the difference?
Because, again, teachers can assign specific texts for groups of students in Learning A to Z to determine those skills. Then in Mind Play, the texts are automatic, that's all online. The teacher does more of the instructive of Learning A to Z.
Thank you, Madam President.
Are there any other questions? Go ahead, Board Member.
Thank you. My question is around the Teach Them piece, the software for the physical goods for our exceptional children. How many children does that affect? And that's also part of our male, female of color program as well. Am I reading that? No, is that not right?
Mrs. Wick, so Teach Down is replacing Unique, the curriculum for our self-contained and low incident students. So it's for all the classrooms throughout the district for kids who are in a low incidence classroom and some resource rooms.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment if I may. Maybe it would be good, beneficial for this board to actually explore Minecraft and Mind Play and Alex, and those are really good programs that only if you actually get to play with them, you can understand. So I requested when we first got here access to those, and I play with them. So maybe it's a good idea for the board to do that, so that there's at least some of the answers that we have by just playing with it.
All right, thank you. I do have one request for the entire team. All the purchase requests that are over $50,000, can you just provide some justification of how they follow our purchasing policy, please, prior to our next meeting? Board Member Lacy.
The Ohio BCI, it doesn't have the fund, but I would imagine it would be the general fund. My copy doesn't.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you, Madam Treasurer. Your next recommendation.
We have 4 examiners from different departments. If you can look at them, and if you have any question, they will answer.
Are there any questions? All right, does that include your recommendations?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Resolution to adopt board policy, second reading. In so much as the Board of Education is committed to continuing updating policies, rules, and regulations, manuals, and the committee which was appointed and working towards the goal, the following is brought at the second time in compliance with the board fact. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Dayton City School District, Montgomery County, Ohio, hereby accepts and adopts the following policies that have been codified for inclusion in the handbooks of the policies, rules, and regulations. File GBCD regulation, attendance and punctuality. GCBDD, paid time off for bereavement. KGR, community use of school premises. To be determined, employee communication with district technology. To be determined, employee electronic mail. To be determined, outside employment. And to be determined, remote work. I move that we adopt these policies. Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, may we have a vote?
President Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Sampson,
Yes.
Ms. Wiegany,
Yes.
Dr. Pickett,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy.
Yes.
6 yeses.
Thank you. Resolution to adopt board policies, first reading, in so much as the Board of Education is committed to continuing updating the policies, rules, and regulations manual, and the committees which was appointed and been working towards the goal. The following are brought at this time for the first reading in compliance with board file BFC policy adoption. Now therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Dayton City School District, Montgomery County, Ohio, hereby accepts and adopts the following policies that have been codified for inclusion in the handbook of policies, rules, and regulations. GBH, also JM, staff student relations. GBT, rehiring policy. GBU, relationships and fraternization. GCB-2, professional staff contracts and compensation plans, administrators. GCBDB, supplemental compensation for administrators. GCD, professional staff hiring. GM, also GBH, staff student relations. These policies are being read for the first time. As such, a motion or second is not required. The policies will be available in the superintendent's office for review and comment prior to the second reading and adoption by the Board of Education. Furthermore, the policies will be reviewed by the superintendent's office, the board office, and the legal department of the Dayton Public Schools prior to the second reading. Pursuant to section 121.22G2 of the Ohio Revised Code, I move that this board go into executive session. The meeting is being held to consider the employment of a public employee and to confer with an attorney involving pending and imminent court actions. Is there a second?
Second.
Moving to second, are there any questions? Seeing none, do we have a vote?
President Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Sampson,
Yes.
Vigani,
Yes.
Dr. Pickett,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy.
Yes.
6 yeses.
How are you?
Terms and conditions of their employment.
Second.
Moving to second, are there any questions? Seeing none, do we have a vote?
President Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Sampson,
Yes.
Ms. Vigani,
Yes.
Dr. Pickett,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy.
Yes.
6 yeses.
It's now 7:41 PM on July 11th. They've been in for over an hour and a half or so.
Let the record show that the Board of Education of the Dayton City School District has just completed an executive session during which it considered the appointment and employment of a public employee, as well as confer with an attorney involving pending or imminent court action, as well as discussed negotiations with our attorney. I move that we return to our normal session.
Second.
Do I have a second? It's been moved and second. Are there any questions? May we have a vote?
Dr. President Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Sampson,
Yes.
Ms. Vigani,
Yes.
Dr. Pickett,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy.
Yes.
6 yeses.
Right now I'd like to move that we vote on HR item 42, which was pulled earlier. And do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and second. Do we have any questions? There are no questions. May we have a vote?
President Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Sampson,
Abstain.
Ms. Vigani,
Yes.
Dr. Pickett,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy.
Yes.
5 yeses, 1 abstain.
Now, I would like to make a motion to the board to appoint Dr. David Lawrence as our interim superintendent. Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved in second. Do we have any questions on the motion?
I don't have questions, but I do have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that there are people who apply for this position, both internally and externally, and we are not going to look at any of those applications, and we're moving forward. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Mr. Sampson?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. And respectfully, in regards to my colleague's comments, there were individuals who applied from the post that was posted probably 2 or 3 days ago. However, there are many of my colleagues who believe that due to the urgency of the matter, the school begins in 23 days, that we owe it to our community, this district, our administrators, our educators, that someone is in position to help navigate during these difficult times. So I respectfully accept the comment of my colleague, but I wanted the community to understand why we believe that this matter needs to be addressed tonight.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? I would like to add that we are in a situation that we are not often in. And I think when you're in situations such as this, sometimes we do have to act in extreme urgency. We have been placed in this situation. I won't sugarcoat that. We've been placed in a situation where we're in need of leadership. And when I say leadership, I mean leadership from everywhere in this district. I want everybody in this district to understand that when they wake up tomorrow, that we have just a few weeks before we start this school year. We have principals that have already been in their buildings. They're getting their schools together. We have teachers that we are still trying to actively get. We have bus drivers. We have parents. We have employees across this district that need to know that someone is in charge right now. And that is where I stand on this. I do accept, and I will admit there were people that have applied for this. And in my mind, the person that I just put out there as a motion, I think he is the best candidate of the people that I have sought. I think to have somebody who's internally here right now from this district, part of this district, to help, not run things completely, not to be a dictator to come in, but to assist. And I think that is what this district needs as we still search for our superintendent. Because I want to make it clear, we have not named and we're not voting to have a final superintendent or to finalize anything like that. But we do need an interim right now because we have been placed in the situation where we need an interim by our former superintendent. So now that we are in this position, I think it is incumbent on us to make a decision to move forward and say we work with Dr. Lawrence if he is voted in, and we work with everyone else in this district because we have to move this district forward. We cannot continue to go backwards. So that is all I have. If there are no further comments or questions, may we have a vote?
President Goodwin.
Abstain.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Sampson.
Yes.
Ms. Wiegany.
Yes.
Dr. Pickett.
No.
Mr. Lacy.
Yes.
4 yeses, 1 abstain, 1 no.
Motion carries. I'd like to Dr. Goodwin.
Just one comment, like, congratulations, Dr. Lawrence, we're excited for you to move forward with us. I will say too that with this interim appointment, we will also be seeking an interim business manager because our structure has not changed, and similar to our commitment to our academic side, we have an equal commitment to our transportation and operations side that we move strong as a district. So please look out, they're hearing this right now. Again, we are accepting resumes for an interim business manager. in this time period now, because Dr. Lawrence will have his hands filled with getting up to speed on what's going on the other side of the house. And with that, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? Any questions? Seeing none, I will vote.
I'll give it to Mr. Sampson.
Mr. Lacy.
President Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Sampson,
Yes.
Ms. Wiegany,
Yes.
Dr. Pickett,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy.
Yes.
6 yeses.
Thank you. If any of the media has comments, Vice President Smith or any other board member will be able to assist you. I currently do not feel well, so I am taking off.
Good work. Good work. Good work.
I saw you leave.
Hey, congratulations. I have a quick question. How many years have you been in education?
27.
I'm just drafting a press release and sending it to you. Yeah.
You too.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, I need you too.
Yes.
I need you do you want to speak to both Dr. Lawrence and? Okay.
Do you want them both at once?
Both at work, so.
I'll see you soon.
Yeah, let's get this madness. Let's end this madness. Yeah, we got this. Yeah.
So
madness. Oh, congratulations.
Who you are, the vice president of the board. So just what happened here tonight?
Oh, well, tonight we had a review session, normal review session, except under different circumstances. As you all know, we had the resignation of our previous superintendent, and we had a discussion with our board in executive session, which I won't go into. That's the privilege of executive session. But we named Dr. David Lawrence as our interim superintendent right now because, as you know, we start school next month. And this district needs leadership right now. This district needs to have our staff and our students and our families understand that our business continues as usual. So we named Dr. Lawrence as our interim superintendent, and we also be posting for our interim business manager, because that was Dr. Lawrence's previous role. Well, he will be interim superintendent until we finish our search for a permanent superintendent. Or until if he wants us to leave or something like that. But that is the plan right now, is to have him as our interim superintendent as we continue our search for superintendent.
can you talk about what that search is?
Well, I think it's really about the board wants to go with a search for a firm. The board wants to put out for candidates. I think it's a process, and I think what we've seen across this state, across the nation, is that it's a real fluid process. We just saw our superintendent leave to a district that has shut down its search to have an interim superintendent. So really, it's I don't want to just get out here and say this is what it's going to be. This is going to be the steps X, Y, and Z to get there. But I think it's going to be, in my mind, I think it needs to be community-led and community-driven, which includes our staff and our students and the communities in which our superintendent will have to serve. And I think in my mind, that is what this board would look forward to doing.
You up there, you said there's kind of best person for this position.
Well, I think right now, when we look at where we are, he's a candidate that is in our district. He's currently in our district right now. He has been at the schools in the role of business manager. He serves the district. He's previously been here for numerous years. He's been elementary principal. He's been a teacher. He's been a high school teacher. He's been a high school principal. So he's had vast experience. And then also with dealing with the business side of it for the last school year, he saw some of the things that a lot of people in education do not see. So I think he is very well-rounded and also a Dayton resident. And I think sometimes you want to have some people from home in leading, especially in times where we're forced into these situations. We want to make sure that we have somebody from here to make sure that they have us in their homes.
So do you guys have a search?
We have not voted on a search firm yet. We've had open searches, we've had applicants submit, so we're in the process of looking to see if we want to go in that direction. We have not, as of now, voted to have a search.
So back in April, what did Holly's contract was extended for a year? Did she ever sign that contract?
That contract actually would have been coming into now, because it would have been an extension with this school year coming up. So with that one, we just, we're out. It would have been different if we got rid of Dr. Lolli, and then we would have been on the move for some things. But I think I want to just talk about the future. I think right now that's where we are, is, wish anybody well who's not here. The biggest thing for us is moving forward, because we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work, and I think this community has a lot of work that they expect us to do. And we have to really get ready to do their work for these children.
We just wanted to know this on behalf of
That would be, with those kind of things, when you design your contract, you're not saying open the extra money. You're voiding your contract. She voided it.
So is that breaking the contract?
Yep.
So she
Yep.
the district have
I would have been up here kicking and screaming for that one. Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
I mean, you said you're really looking ahead to the future. Obviously, school starts here in just a few weeks. How important was it you guys have named someone as leader of this, one of the largest school districts in Ohio?
Well, I think it's very important. Like I said up there, we have principals that have already gone back to school. For all intents and purposes, our school year has started this week. When we talk about the July 10th deadline that people have to leave for those contracts, we're already in a school year. So it's very important to have a leader. You don't want to be going through and conducting business with nobody at the top. And it helps people understand where we are, how we're moving forward, and not just at the top. Everybody in their roles can become.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
We are DPS. I love this district. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, brother, that's Ronnie.
I don't know.
About time.
Word.
Thanks, Will.
Thank you.
Gotta get more.
Sorry, it's okay.
First, just say your name for me and spell it.
David Lawrence, D-A-V-I-D, Lawrence, L-A-W-R-E-N-C.
Now you're the interim superintendent.
Interim superintendent. I was the business manager.
Just what's your reaction now getting this title?
It's not so much the title, it's just an opportunity to lead. And I want to thank just the courageous board for stepping out there and saying, hey, we're going to move with a guy who's been here, lived here, who cares about the community. We're going to do some great things together. It's a democracy, and we're going to work with the community, with churches, with parents, with teachers, with kids, to make this a place that other kids want to come.
Would you be interested in coming and seeing
Oh, absolutely. But my style is just to do the work, get up every day and accomplish things in kind of in the mission of kids, and then all those other good things. That's what the 27 years has been about. Get up every day, do things the best you can for kids and adults. You know, I love my business manager role because I got a chance to work with transportation. A huge shout out to them. Operations. I'll still be involved in those spaces. You can't get away from it because those spaces are important to making the community and school as well. But it's going to be fun to get back on the academic side as well.
What's your message?
You know, we're going to do this together, and it's going to take time. I want to be transparent. I want to hear the community out. I want to listen. Customer service is going to be huge for us. We want to make you feel like it's an experience here in Dayton Public Schools. And also internally, we want that experience to be great for our internal customers as well.
At the last school board meeting, you mentioned that your experience as a business manager was very different from your previous work as an administrator and as a teacher. How do you think your work as a business manager is going to?
Oh, it was critical. This operation is 2,300 employees plus. Budget of around 220 to 250, of which operations spends a great deal of. You see school differently. You see the community differently when you work in operations. I've been really fortunate over the course of 27 years to check a lot of boxes. Typically, you're an academic person that becomes the superintendent. But I've been in operations now. I've worked at charter schools. I've worked as a consultant. I've been a basketball coach, track coach, principal at every level. But that operations piece was critical. I know the bus drivers now. I know the people who are the plumbers. I know the glaziers. I know the carpenters. I know the custodians. I know the nutrition service people. All those pieces make up school. You're the superintendent. You're the superintendent for everybody. And it's not just teachers, although I value teachers and I was one for 10 years. It's all those other pieces too.
What do you look forward to as the traveler district basis?
Oh, we have some internal cultural pieces we need to work through. We have an external imaging we need to work through. Recruiting of teachers we need to work through. And clearly, we've got the next report card will be out soon. And we've got some academic issues to work through. Those are some of the issues we need to work through. Challenges, I consider them opportunities, all of them.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say?
Thank you. That's it.
I just have one question. With those challenges, we plan on how you guys are going to overcome those?
So I don't do this by myself. I wasn't not really expecting this. I didn't think it was a guarantee that this happens. And so you get up every day and you just want to continue to do the work. And so for me now, it's like, hey, you got to get teams of people together. And it's less than 24, 25 days until school starts. I think Board Member Sampson said 22. But you got to get teams together rapidly and put together a skeleton to be able to begin the school year and then work from that skeleton to build a deeper plan for the district. Can't do this by myself. Never have. In any position I've had, I've always had a team. In fact, when I was a principal, I hand-selected my team, and I want to be able to kind of put a team together and work through this.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Congratulations.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Likewise. I'm sure we'll see each other.
Congratulations.
Okay. The website one is a little lower quality, but it could
Let's do it then.
Okay.
Let's do yours. I'll follow your lead.
All right. I'm gonna have you step over just a little bit. And then like it, we'll use it as that.
Round
All right. It'll look like a headshot. Yes, whenever you're ready.
Almost 3 hours.
All right. Step back a little bit. Get
What is
this.
your reaction to the company that was
Right.
Yeah, I was
Oh, that's good. I was in the military.
Not the flag. Just use the red backdrop and stand back from it. And use your Use your portrait setting.